widely reported until about 2007. And when I learned about it, my eyes virtually popped out of my head. It was a transformative moment in my study of U.S.-Iran relations. And the Swiss have typically been the channel that the United States and Iran have used for communications because, of course, we don't have direct diplomatic relations. And so this proposal was sent, and what was especially unique about this is that this reportedly had the blessing of Ayatollah Khamenei, who is the ultimate decision maker. So yes, this was during the Khatami presidency, but what we were being told by our Iranian interlocutors is that this wasn't just some Khatami proposal that was going nowhere. This had approval from the very top. And it makes sense because Iran was surrounded, our stock was very high, Saddam had just fallen, our problems in Iraq had not yet begun. When this was received at the State Department, I've heard conflicting accounts. There was no interagency meeting held on it. I talked to one individual at a mid-level of the State Department who chaired the one meeting that was held about it at a relatively low level, and he said it was a very short meeting and it was dismissed because it was not delivered with the appropriate markings that would come with diplomatic correspondence, which seems rather trivial, but this raised suspicions that it was a forgery, that it was phony, that it was somebody's handiwork. And the response I've heard on the other side is that, well, the Iranians didn't put it on official letterhead because it was so explosive and they wanted to keep this quiet, that should something come out in the open at an inopportune time, this would allow the Iranians a little plausible deniability. So it remains controversial. People as diverse, Martin Indyk, for example, Clinton administration official, a former co-research director of APAC. I talked to him about this in the course of researching my dissertation, and even he said that it was worth exploring. We didn't do so largely probably because of hubris. If the Iranians really were making such a gesture, it means that they were extremely weak, so why throw them a lifeline now? Because American power is just going to literally and figuratively continue to roll through the Middle East and bring down that regime too. That was a leitmotif of the time, in particular in neoconservative worldview. So you will find some writings that suggest that it was not a real offer, but I suspect that there was probably something to it. At the end of the day, it's one of those things where you have to decide who you believe, but enough diverse voices suggest that this was a legitimate offer. As far as Barack Obama is concerned, the Egypt speech, I think that was a general outreach to the Muslim world. With regard to Obama and Iran, did you mean that as a gesture to Iran or just more broadly?
Well, maybe sort of a quiet gesture. I don't remember it coming out.
I've never heard of it or thought of it in that regard. Here's what I will say about the Obama administration: that if the Iranians wanted to deal with Obama, they blew their chance when they rigged the 2009 election and then repressed the Green Movement. Because I actually feel kind of bad for Obama, because I think that he was inclined to take some bold steps to achieve some sort of fundamental transformation in U.S.-Iran relations. But it would be completely impalatable politically for him to do that in the aftermath of the crackdown that took place in 2009. So I think the great tragedy of U.S.-Iran relations during the Obama administration is what Iran did in 2009 in its own country to reinforce some of the very worst stereotypes that exist in this country and that politically constrain, normatively constrain leaders from reaching out to them.
Can I add something to this? Well, there's a microphone here. Well, that one is probably not the first example of rapprochement offered by Iran to the United States. In 1997 or 1998, as mentioned by Madeleine Albright in her book, The Mighty and Almighty, and by Ray Takeh, he's a CFR scholar, I don't remember his book's name, but when President Khatami was in office, he basically said very openly that let's put the history back and let's open a new page between Iran and the United States, but apparently for the reasons that Dr. Ferrero mentioned, some in the decision-making levels. They said, well, let's not give the lifeline to the Iranian regime and wait for its collapse.
Another question, sir?
For Mr. Kalyansu. Has the OIC taken a position on blasphemy laws like in Pakistan in relation to the statement you were just talking about? And if so, what is it? And if not, why not?
Well, the OIC, first of all, we have to remember that OIC brings together 57 member countries from 4 different continents. And these are majority Muslim countries. And within this membership, there are countries like Albania and Saudi Arabia.